Hey YouTube, Rousalka here. Today's video is the competitive Dead by Daylight Roundtable discussion. 2 hours of the competitive scene's pros giving their thoughts on various topics that are Dead by Daylight related. Links to their channels will be in the description. And if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel, liking the video, and comment below on your thoughts or who you'd like to see me interview next. And with that being said, let's crack straight into the video. Okay, so I want to welcome all you guys to the first roundtable that I'm going to do. Probably going to do more depending on the reception, but this is going to be the first trial. So kind of excited. We're going to talk about comp. I'm going to talk about different things about comp. I want to welcome you guys. We have 2 representatives from North America and we have 2 representatives from EU. We're going to go around and do introductions. I guess I'll start with myself. Hello, my name is Rousalka. I'm from the eastern coast of Canada. I'm 32 years old. I play a lot of Dead by Daylight. I've been playing for about 2 years, and I have quite a few hours over the 2 years in consideration. Since my hours almost match some of the people that have been playing since alpha or beta or whatever. I love this game, and I love talking about it. So this is kind of like why I wanted to do this, more or less. And I'll pass it over to Nightlight first, if you want to introduce yourself, Nightlight. And this is the order that we're going to go in. Minus me, of course. So we'll do like 1 EU, 1 NA, 1 EU, 1 NA. So it'll go like this. And that's the order that the roundtable will go in when we get around to the topics.
Alright, so my name is Nightlight. I'm the captain and creator of Team Agony. I don't know what I can say else. I've been in comp since probably like 5 months after this game came out already.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's it pretty much.
Where are you from, Nightlight?
I'm from Poland.
You're from Poland. Yeah, so you're Captain of Agony, and you've been playing this game for quite a while, and you've been playing comp for just about as long.
Yeah, 6,000 hours.
Yeah,
it's been a lot.
It has been. Yeah. All right, Q-Top, you want to talk about yourself a little bit?
Sure. I'm from technically North America Central, but obviously you connect to East servers. I'm the captain of Team Deity. I have like 3K hours. I've been playing comp since whenever Disco made his team. That's when I started playing comp.
Mm-hmm.
That's really about it.
So, is that Miracle 4K that you're talking about?
When he made Miracles, when I got into comp.
Okay, fair enough. Did you watch any comp before that, or was Disco your gateway drug into comp?
I watched some of DBD League and then BOTB, and then after BOTB, me and Disco started talking, and then that's when I got into it.
Yeah. If you want to hold back on those redemptions, I kind of had to disable them for the time being, so I'll give you like one sheesh, and that'll have to hold you over for now.
There's no way, bro.
Sheesh. Yes. Yes, boys. Sheesh. All right. All right. So Zeno, do you want to talk about yourself a little bit?
Yeah. I go by Zeno, but my name is David. I started playing this game in like April 2017, and I started playing comp in 2018 summer. And I've been playing in pretty much everything since then, and I'm part of Oracle right now.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Are you Oracle's captain?
Nope. Nigel is.
Nigel is Oracle's captain. Okay. And last but not least, we have Very Track Disco. You want to tell us a little bit about yourself, man?
Yeah. Started playing I think 2018. Picked up comp 2019 on Instant Dodge. That was my first team. I've been playing for the past comp-wise 2 years. Started my own team after BOTB, after ID disband. and I've been playing ever since. So
Very cracked team. Very cracked disco. A lot of heavy hitters in that team. All right, boys. So with the introductions out of the way, why don't we get into the meat and potatoes of things now that we have the order down pat here. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is the appeal of sweating or tryharding in Dead by Daylight as opposed to just kind of playing the game for fun. I know a lot of people kind of look down on comp or they don't understand it. So I sort of wanted to ask you guys, why would you play Dead by Daylight in such a way where you try to win rather than get enjoyment from, just playing the game itself?
All right. So, from my perspective, I've been playing only competitive games in my life. And when I first picked up DBD, of course it's like a party game, right? So you cannot make it competitive. But the thing is, the game itself doesn't have to be competitive for people to be competitive in it. And for me, playing the game casually is pretty boring, especially a game like this, where you actually have like skillful killers like Huntress, Nurse, Blight, right? So you need some skill level to play him good and master the killer. And I don't really like playing games casually because I get bored quickly, and I like to compete with other people that are on very high level too.
Mm-hmm.
How can I explain it? Like, also, people, when they say that someone is tryharding, it's also hard to define, because some people call tryharding tunneling, others call tryharding slugging for the 4K, for example, which shouldn't even be a thing. In my opinion, tryharding is like, how do I say it? It's like playing Old Ruin Undying on crossplay in EU. So you're versing not good players, but you're still sweating your ass off to 4K them no matter what, which is many cringe. I don't like that.
Okay.
But tryharding on tournaments and stuff like that, it's something like, there are competitive people and there are casual people, so I don't know why someone would fight over that someone is playing competitive and someone isn't. Like, just let people do their thing that they want to do.
Fair enough. Q-Top.
Yeah.
So, what do you think sweating or tryharding is, and what would be the appeal of it since you play in comp as well?
I mean, I kind of agree basically with everything Nightlight said. At some point in a lot of games, and at least for me, like, I've always done comp in every game that I've played. So some people just enjoy that aspect of games. And
Oh, I turned it down. Okay. Sorry.
While this game like wasn't built for comp, I mean, you can still make it competitive if the community is about it, you know what I mean? And at some point, people are going to get bored of playing, depending on the person, people are going to get bored of playing against pubs all day.
It's true.
Some people want to go against higher competition and some people don't. It's just kind of a thing of whatever you want to do. But for the people that want to go against higher competition, then it appeals perfectly for them.
Yeah, I agree with that somewhat. We'll tie back into that later. I have a question. I have a topic towards the end of this that ties into that quite nicely. But yeah, we'll go on. Zeno, what do you think about tryharding versus playing casually, and what's the appeal of sweating? Like, why do you play comp?
So in Allight, I've always played comp, like competitive. Every game that I played was pretty much competitive. I always achieved to become the best, if not one of the best, in every game I play in. The thing between like sweating and tryharding or like playing casually, I think everyone should play the game however they want to enjoy it, and they shouldn't throw shade at someone playing casually, like having fun, or someone sweating their balls off. And I just think that it's okay to play either way, and people should respect each other.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Actually, I think that too many people just kind of criticize people for how they play, and they really just need to stop doing that. All right, and last but not least, Jeff, what are your thoughts on
Um,
sweaty play?
very similar to Nightlight, right? I kind of grew up playing FPS. For half my gaming career, I played in a lot of competitive scenes,
Yeah,
from CS to Left 4 Dead to other things. So I grew up naturally being a competitive person, and when I came to DBD, it was really chill. It's really fun to play. But then eventually, as I started getting better and better, um, I started becoming, more competitive. And when I heard that DBD had a competitive side, I was thrilled because it just meant that, I can test how I do against other players with, how things I've learned. And like I said, as many people have said, the appeal of tryharding or sweating is a play style, and not everybody is gonna like it. But at the end of the day, it is a certain play style, and you should let people do or play however they want to play
yeah.
because they bought the game, and it's their right,
They spent that $20, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just the same as everybody else. Reminds me of an Overwatch when people would get mad about people one-tricking heroes. They would say, "I spent my $60 just like you. You really can't stop me how I play the game." So before we move on, I just have to ask: how many of you are Counter-Strike guys? Since you say that you played competitive before. Is that your background, COD and Counter-Strike and stuff like that?
For
No.
me, I was A+ in ESCA,
Mhm.
so I was ultra competitive.
Yeah, I would say that's
grinded
pretty
the
high in
game a lot.
ESCA.
And yeah, just the competitive side just drove me to improve constantly and try to become better every day.
Yeah. How about you, Nightlight? What kind of competitive
Well, you
games did you
see,
play
it's
before?
funny. It's pretty funny because on ESCA I was also A+, and I've been playing in semi-pro team in CS, as well as Apex. I was almost signed to Fnatic, but I had to part my ways with the game because of school and personal problems at that time.
Yeah.
So I come from FPS, like, I don't know how to say it.
Yeah.
Basically from FPS games.
Yeah. I mean, we all come from somewhere, right? I mean, you just take that competitive mindset, that hunger to play hard games. Do you have any prior competitive experience, Q-Top?
Dude, I was a Fortnite kid. Like,
A Fortnite gamer.
yeah.
Are we gonna chug
Huh?
jug?
No. Ask Aaron Nova to do that one. That's
Yeah.
all him.
Aaron, huh? How about you, Zeno? What kind of competitive games did you play before comping it up in DBD?
I mean, I played in a few league tournaments, League of Legends.
Yeah.
My highest rank was just like mid-tier, like plat, but I was higher rank, I would say. But my friends, my Romanian friends that I play with, that I usually play CS and League with, are like a bit behind. They don't pick up games as fast as I do, so I'm pretty much just playing for fun with them. So I don't know. I was good at Fortnite as well and CS high rank, but like that's about it.
Yeah, fair enough. So y'all have FPS background. My first FPS, I would probably say that I took seriously was a class shooter. I've always kind of liked class shooters, so I played a little bit of Rainbow. I was pretty big into Overwatch back when it was the height of its career. I actually left Overwatch for Dead by Daylight because I was a solo player in competitive, and the appeal of a role where I didn't have to rely on my teammates was originally why I joined DBD. I thought to myself, well, hey, I can play killer and carry myself. So that was how I started. And I got to admit, it's pretty rewarding to be able to focus on yourself solely and see progress somewhere. Like there's nothing more satisfying than looking at yourself, 3 months ago, 4 months ago, and going, I was a trash can and I got better, you know?
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. So that was an interesting topic. Before we move on, I have one more facet to add to this topic. What do you think of people who use the whole sweating or try-harding thing as like, there's like a little excuse that people use when they lose, because they usually try just as hard as you do in pubs, but when they lose, they say that you sweat too much. Ooh, do you ever notice that?
A little bit. I don't really play pub matches anymore. I only do Kill Your Friends, but when I used to play a lot, a lot of people would be, what's the word, misguided. They think that we're tryharding or we're sweating with our playstyle, when I think, at least from my experience, some of us really aren't tryharding. We're just playing the game regularly, and people would have mistaken that for us tryharding because we're just simply good at the game. I know back when 2018, 2019, when somebody would beat you in the game, you would just consider that they're tryharding and that they're simply not just better players.
Yeah, definitely got a lot of that back in the day for sure. People would say like, why did you finish the game that fast? Like, who gets any fun out of that? It's like, it's not fun. We want you to play better. Like, why do you think people want people to get into this scene? Is because they want a challenge. It's not challenging to play against people that don't want to improve. It's not.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not fun to play against those people who do nothing but complain and they don't want to get better.
I understand the whole like, oh, you try hard too much, or you try harding a game that isn't supposed to be as sweaty. But this goes full circle as well. It's like, I bought the game, I can play however I want, and the concept is that 4-man death squads back in the day, before comp even blew up, was that these 4 people in VC are just sweating their ass off and just playing all comms, calling out, and some of us, at least my experience, like I said, we really weren't. We were just laughing in VC and trolling the killer.
Yeah,
a lot of people, it came up as as sweating.
Like,
it really wasn't.
You're just playing at your highest ability, but not really like going out of your absolute way. I mean, if you wanted to look at going out of your absolute way to sweat, look at Marth's old DPIP squad and how they played, and what the 100 games that they took in, where they did nothing but the objective as fast as they could.
Yeah, that is like, it just the thing with that is they see behind the scenes that they're actually sweating with comms and everything, but just regular format death squads today, people just assume that that's what's happening, and sometimes it really isn't. It's just 4 friends having a lot of fun, laughing at each other, playing the game.
Yeah. Whoever hosted, I can't really see my alerts right now. Sorry about that. But yeah, no, I totally agree. A lot of people just, they're not equipped to... Your soul is mine. You will be next. They're not equipped to play at that level, so they have no idea how to deal with it. But that doesn't mean that it's completely unbeatable. I think that that's kind of a lie. Like, an equally matched killer with the proper tools to deal with your soul is mine. An equally matched survivor next. Your soul will definitely will be next. Your soul is mine. You will be next. Your soul is mine. I'm gonna die. Next.
Are we good?
Yeah.
I think you need some water, G.
Oh my god, my dude. I have never realized how annoying alerts were until I got them spammed. Jesus Christ. Alrighty, gamers, we got that out of the way. So we're gonna shift topics here. Actually, this has been good so far. I want to talk about your soul is mine. You will be next. I have no idea how to shut that off. I want to die.
This is why I think Streamlabs OBS is a tad bit better. Everything's very manageable from there.
Yeah.
You can do everything off of the program, basically.
Yeah, I need to... I'm just running the OG Streamlabs because I'm used to it. To have separate queues for casual comp gamers. We are going to get into that. We are actually going to get into that. Please stick around. We will talk about that, I promise you. But for now, what I want to talk about is tech. I want to talk about tech, in-game tech, out-of-game tech, and things like the outplay and 50-50 in response to killer and survivor interaction. So first, we're going to talk about tech. This one's going to be a little bit of a spicy topic because we're talking about, blade exploiters. We are going to be talking about things like that. I want to talk about things like survivor tech, things like killer tech, the things that people have done or learned that the devs either don't patch out because they're okay with it or they just don't notice it. I still don't think the devs know about shift teching, but I know you guys do. But so how do you guys feel about that? Where we develop tech and then people decide whether something is okay or not with it. I'm going to hand this over to Nightlight so that he can talk about how he feels about in-game tech.
So, techs as survivor are usually not even tried to do on like higher levels, because what techs do we have in game? We have plenty of techs, right?
Corner tech?
And one of them are better than the others, and not many of the techs are used even in competitive.
Yeah.
But how do I feel about it? If you want to be a juker, you can do plenty of techs. But if you want to play the game like, I don't know how to say it, like actual good level, like very high level, I don't think you should try to Aaron tech throughout the whole map without doing gens, or play versus nurse and locker tech her while you're uninjured, because it might end up very wrong.
Yeah, a lot of those survivor techs are not really tournament viable. But do you think, but a lot of them the casual crowd doesn't like, do you think that that it's wrong for them to have the tech, or do you think it's nice to add that extra level of mind game, like window tech, corner tech, CJ, all that stuff? Like,
I mean, obviously it's good for content creators because it makes people laugh, right?
yeah.
So, how do I explain it? So if people see a tech, for example, CJ, they are like, wow, this guy just did something insane. This killer just got outplayed like an absolute bot. And like, obviously they are playing public games, so they can CJ tech someone, or what else tech? I don't even know, like jumping in shack into the locker and then your friend flashlight saves you, right? This is a good content for content creators, and it's fun to watch for viewers. But like, after you reach some level, I guess, of like skill in this game, like knowledge, you know that this isn't really practical in actual tournament, just fun to do on public games, which I agree is sometimes fun when you want to have fun with your friends, right? Just chilling on pubs with 4 objects, for example, nothing else, and you just bully the baba that just equipped the 20 Claudette sacrifices head. And yeah, this is fun. Techs are cool for content creation, public games, but most of them just won't work in competitive scene.
And the killer techs, the ones that are viable because they affect your mechanical skill in some way.
Oh, like for example, nurse fatigue glitch.
Nurse fatigue glitch, yeah, or scroll wheel, or even Billy turning, or
I mean,
J flick.
I mean, most of those require skill. Like for example, curving as Billy. I guess it requires somewhat skill.
Yeah.
Flicking as Nurse. What I don't think they takes any skill is the glitch with fatigue. It's absolutely stupid, and it shouldn't be in the game no matter what, because it doesn't do anything good for Survivor. It's just punishing you for doing something good, so double backing into the killer while she's charging her second blink, but then she can just hit you without like any reason, because the game just magically wanted to hit you while she's fatigued.
I
And
mean,
I don't think this is anything good for the game. Like, it just completely breaks it, kind of, the whole outplay potential versus Nurse.
well, there's already outplay for
Uh,
the nurse. She can look down, so the fatigue was definitely a little extra.
Well, yes. What do I think else? J flicking requires skill, is easily counterable, so I don't see any problem with that. It just adds more fun to play the killer, makes him stronger. Scroll wheel on Hag. Well, if you play Hag with Shift, you're an absolute maniac, or your reaction time is like Kenny S. But I doubt that that is the case, so scroll wheel on Hag makes her more viable than she usually is. Of course, you can do a chase Hag, which is also very viable. I recommend everyone, if you ever versus on a turn, chase Hag totally 100% go for it.
Yes,
It's
yes.
epic. It's amazing.
Chase Hag
so
for life. Yes.
scroll wheel for Hag is good. J flicking is good. Billy flicking is good. Nurse flicking is good. Anything that breaks the game, like Nurse fatigue glitch hit, is bad. What else was bad for the game when it was glitched? Clown reload add-ons.
Yeah,
Someone remember?
yeah. What about the Legion cancel with his power to gain distance? Remember his old, he could do the stab
you
to.
were whiffing the whole
Yeah.
time to get distance.
Yeah.
I mean, that was kind of stupid, but right now Legion is totally useless
Yeah, I
because they
agree.
nerfed him. So I honestly don't know.
Yeah. It's kind of weird to think about because like say for example, look at Smash Brothers, another party game that people have made competitive. You look at Ices, the ice climbers. There's a glitch that they have that they can use, and it makes them viable. But without it, they're trash. So it's just kind of interesting to think about. But if there's already something that's strong, sometimes if it pushes them way beyond the limitations of what you can deal with, it might be considered too much. Like Nurse is already strong. She doesn't need the fatigue glitch, you know. So
Agreed.
I think that's like a bigger reason for it. Q-Top. How do you feel about tech in the game?
I mean, I think it's about the same, but it kind of just depends on the side you're looking at. So, like for Survivor, most of the texts are just like haha funny texts that you do in pubs when you're like creating content or something. Like Nightlight said, like you're not gonna do anything of those. Like you're not gonna window tank a killer in comp and like get away with it. You know what I mean?
We'll see one. We'll see one eventually.
I mean, maybe. One of my teammates is CJ'd in the tournament, but it's fine.
Yes.
But most of the time, you don't do it. It's just not. It's not a good way to go about things. For the killer techs, I guess you could say, I feel like it's all just kind of like skill based for the most part, except for like some of them that are just bugs in the game that they don't want to fix. But like J flicking with Blight requires skill. Like Billy, all that stuff. It's just skill based. Like there's a skill cap to it. So I think those are all not really techs. I feel like it's just you're good at the killer.
Yeah. I mean, most of them, I think the reason that the competitive scene doesn't really care about it is because we know there's outplay, and we also think like you're not just going to magically start to turn your DPI up and you're going to be able to hit those flick shots, you know? Like it still requires skill. It's not going to reward you instantly for absolutely no reason.
Exactly. Like I've been playing forever and I still suck with Billy. Like there's definitely some sort of skill that it takes. Like I'm terrible with them.
Chase hag.
So you have to have an understanding of the killer and have a good amount of hours to be able to do that, especially to like comp players.
Mm-hmm. Zeno, how do you feel about tech?
Survivor attacks are just for content purposes.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe shift hacking is the only one that could be used in comp, so you get your exhaustion perk faster and you lose chase, so the killer doesn't blast you around the shack or like boss or some shit. And for killer, like Oni, Blight, and Billy, turns, tags, flicks, whatever the fuck,
Yeah.
they are just skill based and they are easy counterable and they shouldn't get removed from the game. And as I said, the nurse fatigue M1 glitch thingy should be removed because that's just game breaking. You can M1 after the chain of the blink window. Like, I don't know how to say it. It's like just a late M1.
Oh, I know. I've seen it before, and I know they're getting rid of it. So, like, if that's coming up, they're getting rid of it with the new content patch. So,
Okay.
yeah, nurse fatigue bug is going away. For anybody who's not aware, which I'm sure there's very few, the nurse fatigue bug was if you timed your M1 correctly, you could interrupt the fatigue and just completely ignore it, using the weapon wipe animation instead, or the weapon whiff animation instead, which was much shorter. For anyone who doesn't know, the fixated tech, which still exists, by the way, the shift tech is where you equip fixated, a perk, and you can wait around a corner, and against an M1 killer, basically you never enter chase. So you can turn a window into an infinite, like an actual infinite. This has been around for months and months now, and I don't think the developers caught wind of it, and they're not smart enough to figure it out, or they're hoping that nobody else is. Nobody's made a video on it, which is surprising. But yeah, not smart enough. Sheesh. All right, VTD. I'm gonna call you VTD.
Okay.
This sounds like a disease. Disco. How do you feel about
Okay, bro. I like
Okay,
it, I
bro.
like it. So, for killer wise, a lot of techs get considered an exploit because they're not intended, and I think we have to explore the fact that even though these quote unquote exploits or techs are not supposed to be meant in the game, like J flicking or Oni flicking, I think it is also the responsibility of the devs as well. When we highlight these quote unquote exploits, they like as we mentioned, the argument is that they shouldn't be in the game and not intended. You're abusing it. That's why that just makes you a bad person. And I think that's a poor mentality because there are lots of exploits in many games, and just because they exist and people abuse them and use them doesn't mean that we're bad people. It just means that we're highlighting the flaws of the game, of the devs themselves as well. And some of these quote unquote hacks / exploits have been in the game for a very long period of time. I mean, and the devs have done nothing to fix or address them at all. So at the same time, you can call us filthy tech abusers or exploit abusers, but at the same time you have to also put blame on the devs for not addressing the exploits, not doing anything to fix them. And just overall, we should be highlighting the fact that these devs have not addressed anything, and as long as they're going to be kept in the game and the devs haven't done anything about it, we're going to keep using them because we should if it's something game breaking, like for example when Legion came out and you could moonwalk and never get in a chase and the bar would go down, that was obviously really game breaking. Everybody hated the game and everybody complained to the devs, and eventually they fixed it. But I mean, as you can see with some of the current exploits right now, the devs at least haven't really addressed it or cared much about it, haven't done anything, and they've been in the game. And as long as they're in the game, then might as well use it. So
another thing too is just honestly, a lot of the, like, we call them techs and some people call them exploits, but the fact of the matter is that something is only an exploit when it's found and unwanted. Otherwise, it's just a feature. And then we call them techs. Famously, you have the silent bell, if you cancel the bell ringing animation on Wraith, it looks like he's going to hit you because it's almost the same animation as his melee. And McLean came on stream and was like, the bell tech is back. Like, you can fake like you're going to hit someone. Doesn't McLean also like blight flicking? I have no clue if he likes the high DPI flicking or not. But and if you think about it, there is another unintended feature that kind of got added, that kind of got kept in the game since its alpha release, actually. Looping is technically an exploit, but because it's become accepted, it's more of a tech. And you don't hear anybody complaining about looping except for the guy that just bought the game and has 50 hours in it. So, looping is tech. Yeah, I hard agree. Elmo told me I shouldn't ask him. Oh, poor Elmo. He's confused. He needs to go lay down. But yeah, no, anyways, so, yeah, I don't know. I'm okay with most of them. In a lot of cases, this tech, it adds depth to the game. And why wouldn't you want to add depth to a game like Dead by Daylight? The more mind games there are, the better the competitive is. Like, if you have to play better and there is the ability to play better, you should be playing better. That's just the way it is, really.
Yeah, I mean, take a look at Nurse, right? She completely avoids any known usual survivor mechanic, and like if you want to judge how good a survivor really is, you judge how good they can run a Nurse, because it basically throws everything out the window, and they have to use the environment to the best that they can, as compared to somebody who just, you know, M1s and eats pallet and walking around and etc. So
it adds an extra layer to everything. So wanted to move on. I wanted to talk about some of the things that us comp gamers do to make our game feel better. I wanted to talk about external software. I want to talk about why we do it. And I'd also like to talk about how it's accessible, and that makes it so that it shouldn't be that much of a problem. People complain about it, and a lot of times it's because they've never tried it before. And the fact that it's so accessible means they probably should try it. They don't have to like it, but they should try it. You can't say you hate something until you've tried it. I'm talking, of course, about stretched resolution, audio, or digital equalizers.
I don't think DS is a monstrous problem.
Yo, Trickster, thank you for the
tunneling camping motherfucker.
For the subs. Holy shit. Stretched what? Yeah. Well, you're going to talk about it, Nightlight.
DS is a monstrous problem.
So, gear up.
Tunneling camping motherfucker.
So,
I get hit by DS.
I'll first say why I play on stretch resolution.
Basically, a monstrous problem. Because
I come from CS days, right? Black bars 4x3 monitor. Epic. I was playing this. I was playing CS 1.6 for like 1k hours, then CS:GO for 1.9k hours. So I'm so used to stretch. I was probably one of the first people that used stretch in DBD just to play Billy, because my FPS were so bad on my old PC. I was playing 30 FPS on tournaments, both sides. So 4x3 just makes my screen, makes my game smoother. And also, if you're from EU, you play versus Russians. Russians have 1x1 res. Like, of course they have bigger advantage than you, so you just try to be on the same level of advantage, where there is no advantage at all, because you both have the same thing to work with, which is fair in my opinion. Anyone can change their resolution, whether they have AMD graphics card or NVIDIA graphics card. They don't even have to go to game files to change it, but they can. So changing it through your NVIDIA control panel or AMD control panel, like every single person on Earth can do it. You can even change your resolution without having a graphics card.
Yeah.
By just pressing right click and change resolution to 4x3. It's exactly the same. I don't think there's anything bad in stretching your resolution, and people that complain about stretch resolution are trying to find an argument why they lost to someone in a video game like Dead by Daylight.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't bring you as much advantage as people think it does. There's many streamers that complain about stretch resolution but never tried it themselves and see that it doesn't really help that much. It doesn't make you play like a god of the game, like when you just have stretch resolution. And what else? Recently I was on Twitter, I saw drama about one Spanish huntress playing versus some guy on a public game, and he was using 1x1 and crosshair. Oh, not the crosshair on Huntress. How do you do that? Well, basically, there are so many monitors that have a setting already in the monitor that you can add a crosshair. There is literally nothing bad about knowing when the middle of your screen is. Like, he was trying to argument it by, like, but it wasn't intended. Did Huntress come with a crosshair? No, she didn't. But literally, anyone can turn that setting in your monitor if you have some specific monitors.
You could take a
Probably
piece
most
of tape
them.
and shove it
Yeah,
in the middle
you
of your
literally
screen.
Yeah.
Shitty argument. Absolutely shitty argument. I agree.
Also, programs like Reshade or equalizers to hear better. These are all preferences. Like, for example, there was no Daltonistic mode in DBD, and there still isn't. They are adding it soon, right?
Yeah.
So people that are Daltonistic, they couldn't play the game, and they couldn't have as much fun in it because they couldn't see some stuff in the colors that they usually recognize. So they can install a program that's called the Reshade, and it makes their game look slightly different than yours. And people can find the Reshade settings cheating because you can see better. It doesn't really make you see things better. It just adds to the screen of what you want to see. So like, if you want your game brighter, you cannot make it in settings, so you can just do it through external program. Same with changing your screen brightness on your monitor or saturation. Like, people have different preferences, and the Reshade shouldn't be any problem, as well as equalizer, I guess, because like you're just making yourself hear lower tones over the higher ones or the other way around, and it's just basically a preference, especially when you're some sound I don't know,
sound-based
addict.
killer.
Yeah.
I mean, there's, and like, if you think for a moment, a lot of these are more accessible, and it's good that they are. Imagine if they weren't accessible and you had to buy a very expensive headset or a very expensive monitor from like 20 years ago just to get that stretch. Then it would be exclusive. I think there would be real room to complain if it was based in more in money. But anybody can do it. Literally anybody. It's just a program. All of these are just programs. They're free. You could go get them right now if you wanted to. And if you had vision problems where you couldn't see the color green too good, you could change the temperature of your monitor's color so that instead of green, your green would show up as purple, and maybe that would help you. Where we don't have colorblind options right now, so I think it's a little short-sighted. I agree with Nightlight. It's a little short-sighted to just shit on people for trying to make their game feel more enjoyable. But Q-Top, how do you feel about external programs?
I mean, at the end of the day, everything like stretch, EQs, reshade, it's all like a preference thing. Like I play on a stretch for comp just off of a preference because it just feels better. Like you don't get a whole lot of advantage out of anything, I guess, except maybe an EQ, just because it's an EQ. Like if you play Spirit, you know. I don't know. Everybody shits on stretched and stuff, but in all reality, it really doesn't do a whole lot for you. It's just some people prefer to play on stretch and some people don't.
Yeah.
I think all of it boils down. And like reshade, I don't understand that at all. You just literally make your game look better, or if you're colorblind, you can make it look better for you, like your eyes. Like that's all it really does. It doesn't really do anything game breaking.
Yeah.
And same with stretch. It's not going to make you some ultra competitive warlord if you stretch your res. Like it doesn't do anything. I play on both. I play on native and I play on stretched, and I can play both perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm. And you know, there's other things too, like changing your saturation. You can change your brightness, and cranking your brightness might allow you to see your environment a little better. But like, if you think it beats stealth, you can ask any comp gamer. It doesn't. They know where to hide. Where you like, they have enough LOS, like they have line of sight. You can't find them because they are constantly like sneaking behind hard, heavy objects that you're not going to find them on. So all of these complaints, like they're from a point of ignorance.
And I mean, if you can do all of this stuff on a monitor that you bought, then do whatever you like better.
Yeah.
Like on a PC monitor that you paid for, like do what you want. Whatever makes you happy and whatever your preferences, go for it. It doesn't, none of this stuff like breaks the game in any like horrible way.
But Jeff, how do you feel about software, my man? Wait, no, sorry, I was supposed to pass the mic to Zeno. My bad. Zeno.
Get shit on, Jeff. Will you send this to the devs by any chance? Or I'm just asking.
I mean, if they want to watch it, that's on them. Like this content's going up on YouTube no matter what. But
okay. Well, either way, I just want to say this game is garbage. The devs should do something about it. Their graphics are garbage. The coloring. The reason why we use reshade and NVIDIA filters is because, one, it makes the game look better. Two, it gives the game color. So it's almost like playing a fucking video game in 2021, not in fucking 2000.
Yeah.
About the EQ thing, the sound in this game is just so complete trash. Like you literally cannot hear someone behind you sometimes because the sound, I don't know, the sound is just so fucking. Okay, so what I'm trying to say here, EQ helps with that, especially if you play Spirit.
Yeah.
And honestly, there are EQ settings that helps on every killer and even Survivor. And once I'm gonna figure those out, I'm probably gonna play EQ on Survivor just to make the sound be better overall.
Mm-hmm.
About the crosshair thingy, that I saw the debate as well on Twitter.
Yeah.
The guy was saying that his console, he cannot have a crosshair for Huntress. You can, as you said, you can literally just fucking duct tape the middle of your screen. Like it takes no fucking brain. What else is there? Stretch res. Everyone can do that. And because the game is so fucking garbage and so poorly what's it called?
Optimized. Yep.
Optimized, yes, thank you. A lot of people stretch res, even if like Aaron as a content creator stretches to 1800, like 8,000.
It's okay.
English is not my friend. It's fine. I'm just gonna speak like a Ruski. He plays 1811 times 1080 because even those like pixels, like few pixels that he's taking away, improves his performance. And that's about it. Like everything, in my opinion, that like as long as it's not a cheat, like everyone can use whatever program they want to make their game look better or feel better.
Absolutely, I agree.
Of course.
One thing I just want to add before I hand the mic over to Jeff is, I mean, if they do end up watching this, same thing. They focus on graphics, which is not good. It's pretty sad when you need a very modern card to play a game that looks as bad as Dead by Daylight. I used to be able to scrape 120 frames out of my 144 hertz monitor on this game. And now that they did that last update pass, I dropped 40 frames all the fucking time. And it infuriates me. I love playing the nurse. I can't even play nurse anymore, honestly, because my frame drops are so bad that I can't consistently keep my screen from just warping. It drives me insane. As for sound, I took a break from DBD to play a really fun sort of like battle royale / scavenger game called Escape from Tarkov. You want to talk about good sound? You take a step on a piece of gravel and it crunches so loud that you can hear it like glass, just crystal, absolutely fucking crystal. And I wish DBD had sound half as good as Tarkov does. Okay. The decent, yeah, I know, but like the sound design is still better. Like it's still better than like DBD, where I can hardly hear somebody grunting in pain through an LT wall like 10 meters away. All right, that's enough of me ranting. Jeff, how do you feel about software, my man?
I think there's nothing that devs can really do for, I think, the equalizer stuff. I think what are they gonna do? Ban us from? First off, how are they gonna attack that we're using the equalizer, right?
I mean, they
So I
could.
think there are some things that they can't and can do or enforce. For example, stretch res, they could probably somehow enforce, using their resolution. I don't know how they're gonna do that, but I feel like that's, since for some of us we're modding in-game files, some of us are just changing our monitor straight up. It's still something that it's out of their control, along with like using reshade and other things. And I think just because we use these things doesn't make us a cheater or a bad person. I mean, it's available to us. Anybody can use it, as people have mentioned. Anybody can change their monitor. Anybody can download an equalizer software and enhance their in-game sound, audio, and etc. And I think it's, maybe the sheeps who are really loyal to Dead by Daylight, who want to stay pure and don't want to modify anything, are the ones that are kind of hypocritical, because if you never try it and then you hate on it, then what's the point, right?
I agree. And they're so accessible. You could literally try it. I've actually convinced some people to play on Stretched, especially even people that were dyed in the wool hated it before. And the reason they hated it is because at 1-to-1 ratio, yes, you can see around tiles. It makes M1 killers that aren't even competitive to begin with, suffer. But if you're playing those killers against an actual sweaty team, you're going to lose. You're not going to take you're not going to take your trapper or your doctor and go hit it up and live big.
Yeah,
like that's not going to happen.
This comes in with the whole mentality thing. Oh, I lost because this person has a crosshair on Huntress. I lost because this person has stretch res. Maybe you lost because you're dog shit at the video game. How about that? Maybe we're just better than you, We put in time and hour into the game, or we're just naturally gifted and we're just better than you. Stop trying to find excuses that, oh, he's cheating, he's doing this, he's doing that. I can't do this, I can't catch him. And like, no. Sometimes the opponent is just better than you. And that's something that a lot of people don't want to accept, because that either hurts their ego or they're just finding scapegoats to reasons why they lost. And it's just not a good mentality to have. So it's, that's how I feel about it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Another thing too is one of the things I did to convince a lot of people who were dyed in the wool killer and thought that it only provided advantages to Survivor was I told them it gives you free Shadowborn, that thing that every fucking killer loves. You get free Shadowborn. Your whole perspective gets wider. You get more in your view screen at one time. And then people put it on and they go, holy crap, it feels so good. So absolutely fantastic. And then they change their whole perspective. Or, I've gotten into calls with people and I helped them set up the EQ, like the equalizer, and then they're like, oh, I don't know if this is any good. Is it any better than the what's it called, Windows Sonic? Windows Sonic sounds pretty good. And then I go, okay, put it on. And they're like, okay. And then they go, oh my god, I've never heard the hatch from this far away before. I'm like, yeah, there you go, you're welcome. Like, come on. How to trigger an entire Twitch chat. What's going on, Aaron? But yeah, no. And the last thing I wanted to talk about concerning this sort of thing is outplays and 50-50s. As it concerns like killers and tech in general. EQ tutorial. I have an EQ tutorial, but it's honestly, I need to make another one. I need to update things. So stay tuned for that. But no, I wanted to talk about outplaying 50-50s, because a lot of people just seem to think that, there's no outplay to nurse in chase anymore, which there's a lot now ever since her nerfs. They seem to think that there's no outplay to spirit. That's not inherently true. Even if the outplay is not what you want it to be, it's still there. And the same thing with J flicking and things like Billy Curve and stuff like that. Bad players can't deal with that stuff, but good players can, and it's important that those extra layers exist. Nightlight, you want to talk about that a little bit, my man? No, you want to pass? Did he just pass?
He said,
I've had to set up. Nah, not today, bro.
I just said yeah, and my microphone muted.
Okay, like.
Okay, so you need to talk about the nurse counter play thingy that people complain
She has a
about.
lot of it now, but people still say she breaks the game. Like,
yeah, I recently played against a person that said that pallets never. Oh no, that wasn't playing against a person. I watched a YouTube video with almost 100k views where the guy was saying, giving tips for each kill against each killer. And when it came to nurse, I basically watched videos like this just to hear what people have to say about nurse. And then he said, don't ever use pallet versus nurse. Just run away from them. It doesn't help. Try to break line of sight. Don't ever use pallet versus nurse. And I'm like, listening to it, I'm like, oh, Megan, what are you talking about? There's so much counterplay to nurse. Like, going into edge map, flashing your flashlight to waste her time while she's 96% movement speed. I don't know how fast she is, really.
she's like 96 or 98. She's not the same movement speed as survivors, that's for sure. Not her base movement speed.
So you just flash at her. It burns her blink. She cannot blink to you. You're wasting her time. Then breaking LOS. You have like trees that you can run around that she gets auto aimed on. If you run past the locker, she gets auto aim on this. If you stun her, it's not that difficult to stun a nurse. The nurse has to be good though to know how to blink around pallets, because she can also get body blocked by survivors. Her blinks can get body blocked. Yes, that's the thing in game. Many people don't know about that. Still, it's 2021. People in com don't know that you can body block nurses' blink. What else is there to counter nurse? I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Breaking LS, pallets.
Holding W as opposed to running back and making the mind game whether you're going to hold W or run back.
Like
Yep.
Bubozavr from when he was playing in Shock. He's a very nice person to play against.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed my time versus Bubozavr.
I feel like that's not true.
Of course it's true. Okay, I'm a pass now.
Yeah.
I'm upset.
All right, man. Thank you. Q-Top, how do you feel about outplaying 50-50s? You think it's important?
I mean, almost every killer in the game has some sort of counterplay. Nurse has probably one of the most in the game while still being the best killer, but you can do so much to counter her if you just are good.
Right.
The only one that's a little iffy would be Spirit. Her counterplay is kind of just a mess.
It's a coin toss.
If you run around like an idiot, maybe you juke them, but in all reality, they hit you. It's like, okay,
it's true.
They have ears, and they just whatever you do. Sometimes it feels like you could sit there and spam vault the pallet. You can do whatever you want, and sometimes you'll just still get hit. It's kind of just how good the spirit is, I guess.
It's true.
I feel like
some things though.
Yeah, I mean, there's some things you can do, but for the most part, it's kind of just it just depends. But most killers have a lot of counterplay. Like if you wanted to talk about like J flicking with Blight, you could figure out when they're gonna flick and go wide, and they just completely whiff, and then they're an M1 killer until they get their charges back. Like it just. Yeah, I think it's a good thing because a lot of these killers take skill, but there's also counterplay to them on Survivor End, so you're not just forced to die because the killer is better than you based off their power or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's more in the mechanics than just in their power itself. That's why it's good.
Like if the player, like, it doesn't, like, if you go against a bad nurse in pubs, you're gonna run them for 5 gens and they'll never get a hit. But if they're good, then that's not gonna happen.
I agree, definitely agree. You have anything else to add?
No.
All right.
I think I'm good.
Yeah.
Zeno, my man, how do you feel about outplays and 50-50s? Are they important in Dead by Daylight?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because the only way you can juke a spirit is taking a risky 50-50 unless you're on a safe pallet. And her and Nurse are just, the entire chase interaction is 50-50s. And yeah, that's about it.
Do you think it's scrubby for people to complain about 50-50s?
How can they even complain about it?
It's just it's a guess, an interaction between the person.
I mean, now it's just a 50-50. If you win it, you win it, and you can win the game. If you lose it, you throw the game for your teammates.
Yeah. But it's equal on both sides because one person has an opportunity to win, the other person has an opportunity to lose. Just as much as the killer can win it and can either get the down or keep the chase going and then get the down quicker, they can also lose and waste a lot more time. So it's not like it's inherently beneficial to killer, but then people will complain about spirit because it feels bad to lose the 1v1 when you do lose it. Like that, I'll admit.
Well, spirit's a whole different kind of worms, but I think 50-50s were kind of intended by the devs. I mean, for M1 killers, we have some you have some unsafe pallets, and that's literally their goal with those unsafe pallets, is that, you throw it down, it has to be a mind game, 50-50, whether you try to outplay the opposing opponent. That's literally intended by the devs. Some pallets are just supposed to be mind game pallets. I mean, you can see some of the new pallets introduced within the recent map update. There are some pallets that are absolutely garbage, but it's intended that 50% mind game. It's intended by the devs.
Yeah.
But
I just something to add is I don't know. I think that there's a lot more outplay than people are willing to admit. Some of it's buried in perks, which I think people don't really like. They don't want to hear it, where they're, put on Iron Will or put on Spine Chill and it makes it better or something like that. They don't want to hear that. Or they don't want to hear things like, wiggle your mouse or wiggle your AD back and forth and strafe your mouse so that Zeno has to like aim down sights 50 times in order to get them, but that's counterplay to Deathslinger, is juking erratically like that. Or they don't want to hear that they have to constantly think about little line of sight blockers to fuck up Deathslinger. They just want to complain. They want to go, he gets instant wind up for 28 or for 18 meters and I don't like it. And it's like, no, I think you should shut up. That's not the fault of the killer. It's the fault of you not adapting. So that's how I feel about it personally. I know some people are not going to like to hear that, but it, you know, like at the end of the day, that's how I feel. I feel like there's a mindset where you refuse to adapt, and you've plateaued, and you're not going to get any better until you really take a hard think about it. And sometimes it's just going to be a 50-50 as well. Like if you're the palette 50-50, I come from a fighting game background. When you score in, you know, that's another competitive set. When you score a knockdown on someone in a fighting game, when they get up, it's a 50-50. You're rewarded for scoring that knockdown by putting them in a disadvantaged state where they have to guess. And if they guess incorrectly, they get bodied even harder. But why not? You know? That's just how it is. All right. So let's go ahead and let's shift topics. Let's talk about crossplay and crossplay off in the EU and NA regions, and the skill-based matchmaking. So we just actually had our skill-based matchmaking trial that just happened. How did your guys' skill-based matchmaking go for that day or so? Nightlight?
Wait, hold on. Let me actually start this off because
Oh.
I
All right.
didn't tried the skill-based matchmaking actually, so I
Okay.
can't really much participate in this conversation. But with all I know
Crossplay.
is that I played 2 games with the skill-based matchmaking, and that was on Billy. And I knew I waited first off 20 minutes for one Billy match crossplay on, and then I waited 30 minutes for another one on crossplay off.
Yeah.
And when I did get those games, I was going against people who literally bought the game 5 minutes ago. And as someone who has been playing the game for almost 3 years now, there's clearly something wrong with the matchmaking there. And whether it's something to do with Billy emblems, the way he earns his
It wasn't emblems.
skill base,
They figured it out.
whatever it is,
Yeah.
it's just there's clearly something wrong with the matchmaking there. When somebody who bought the game 5 minutes ago is getting matched rank 20 to a red rank, I shouldn't even say red rank, to somebody who has over 5,000 hours in the game, there's clearly something wrong with however they're fixing these matches.
Yeah.
But that's my two cents, because that's the only 2 games I ever played with skill-based matchmaking.
It's definitely got some bugs in it. Yeah. Actually, as it turned out, they fucked up Billy's MMR. He was the only killer who had a capped MMR that was not where it should have been. So every Billy, I thought it was Chaser. That's what I thought. But no, as it turned out, his MMR was just calculated incorrectly, and every Billy was getting rank 20s. So,
well, hopefully they fix that problem, because I mean, just speaking from experience, I don't want to be going, at the very least, against people who bought the game literally 5 minutes ago.
Yeah. All right. Nightlight, did you play any during the MMR?
I did play. And from cross off, I went to cross on, because all the people that wanted to try out the new MMR system usually turned on their crossplay for once. And to my surprise, as my nurse, I got 9 games in a row, only comp players. The first game was like 1 comp player, 3 randoms, but further than that, I was getting only comp players, till the moment when I got Haddonfield versus 4 people that seemed like the worst players ever. I ended chases in 2 blinks, and they 2-outed me on Haddonfield. I was so confused about what happened. I got literally 2-outed on Haddonfield versus people that seemed like the worst match I got today.
Yeah.
That was scary to me. I even took off Tinkerer for them, because I was like, barbecue, let me get some blood points. No, it was tragic. They played so much better than all the comp players I got, but yet they were so much worse.
Yeah.
I have no idea how it's based on, but it was a very interesting experience, but I got the most games were very fun and on a high level, I would say, with the new MMR. Definitely better than it was before.
Yeah, I will say I played during MMR as well. I had to sweat a lot more, and the games were a little frustrating, but at the same time, it felt, when I dominated, it felt good. It felt like I earned it. It wasn't just like dead at 4 gens. I stomped people with like no skill at all, you know. Q-Top, did you play any during the MMR? Did you play Survivor or Killer?
I literally didn't play at all. I had work that day, came home, scrammed, went to bed.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I have really no input on it. I didn't play a single match of it. So.
You know, Trickster, thank you for another gifted sub. Holy shit, that is so insane. Do you go flirting around to the other topic there? Do you try crossplay off on NA? Do you try to get like comp games through that?
I mean, I played cross off, but it's honestly the same thing as cross on. Like you go in there, like there's literally no cross off scene. Like I've VPN'd the EU before to play their cross off because NA cross off is just non-existent. You might as well just play cross on and get faster queues. There's literally no point to it at all.
I feel
like last night I was playing Blight on cross off and 4K'ing at 4 gens with a shit build, and like it's just not. There's no.
It's not like, there. I know.
No, it's non-existent at all.
I understand in the European region, cross-off is where, you know, people go to sweat is where all the comp players play, but in North America, it's just... how I treat cross-off is for a faster queue, because sometimes I do get instant queues with cross-off, and that's the only reason why I turn it off. But like, I don't go to cross-off North America to be like, oh, this is where I go sweat. Like, no, this North America entirely is a joke.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get faster queues, sometimes it's slower. It just kind of depends. So like I go on it when I know it's faster.
All right. Zeno, did you play it all during skill-based matchmaking? And I know that you are a fan of cross-off. You often talk about dogs being on cross-off. I want to talk a little bit about that in the skill-based matchmaking.
Mark?
Shut the fuck up, Jeff.
Tasted.
I did not play in skill-based matchmaking. I didn't get to play because I don't usually play pubs, and I was just practicing that day. What I think they should do, instead of doing that, they should create another like game mode which is ranked, because casual players can get high rank based on skill-based matchmaking, and I just see no way of them making it right without creating another game mode. Because like there's one thing playing casual and ranking up because you are good at the game but you want to play casual, and there's one thing like actually sweating for the game and wanting to become like top 100 on the leaderboards or whatever the fuck. Because you can get casuals in the same game mode. So casuals should just play on like whatever matchmaking it is now, and comp players should just grind the ranked games. And cross playoff is just a small community. We have comp players like from all over Europe playing on it, so we can play each other and have a challenge while still in pubs.
Yeah. For anyone who doesn't know, the EU crossplay off actually has a scene, and people usually turn their crossplay off when they want to play against good players. We don't really have that in North America, but we wish we did. Okay, so that's interesting. Some people just didn't play skill-based matchmaking. From what I've heard, anyone who didn't play Billy got some challenging matches. Some people tried to play Billy. I don't think that was a good idea. But
I mean, from what I've heard from other people, I think it was working a bit. And then I heard mixed reviews. I heard people who were saying they got like actual good survivors, as they should be getting because they're a good killer. And then I've heard people saying they got rank 20s. So,
yeah, a lot of it was Billy,
like a Billy aside as well. So
yeah, Billy aside. That leads to something else as well. I think some people might have gotten so used to the lack of skill-based matchmaking that when it did exist and they were paired against people like that, maybe it's because they weren't as good as they thought they were.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of people say that this is a quote-unquote party game, it's never competitive, but then here we are, the devs trying to introduce skill-based matchmaking in a way, because I mean I think they know that the current quote-unquote matchmaking system they have is not really accurate to skill. It's mainly just play time, and I think I don't know how the devs are gonna do it, but I think they're taking their own little jab at trying to introduce actual skill-based matchmaking, and
Yeah.
I think we should be trying to help them instead of just complaining on Twitter saying DBD has no, like, it shouldn't have, like, skill-based matchmaking. I mean,
I agree. It's something we want, and and they will listen. Sometimes they do honestly listen. I think that there's definitely some parts of the development and marketing parts of Behaviors Interactive Studios that wants the game to be competitive, and then there's some that don't. There's probably some inter-office like banter about it, and that kind of segues into the next topic, which is I wanted to talk about professionalism in the comp scene, the visibility of the comp scene to the general public and to Behavior themselves. And I wanted to talk about coaching and teaching streams and things like that. So first we'll move on over to Nightlight. Nightlight, do you think that the comp scene has changed ever since we kind of started having more mainstream tournaments, and people got exposed to comp, and people are talking about people playing in comp builds in the regular pub games and stuff like that?
It definitely has changed throughout the years, because I remember when we played tournaments in 2017, 2018, 2019, and they had rules where a killer couldn't tunnel, camp, or slug. Now that I look back into it, it is so stupid, especially that survivors back in the day had pallet vacuum. 10 pallets in the middle of the map on Blood Lodge, or maybe even 20.
Oh my
The
god.
broken infinites everywhere, yet you still dare to tell killer that he's camping because you thought that this is wrong. So
Oh my god.
the comp scene is definitely going to better way. Like Boomer and on BOTB, they introduced the. I mean, obviously they took it from Russian tournaments that are the most balanced, in my opinion, where they have specific balance for each killer. So, for example, versus Trapper, you cannot run Dead Art because, dashing through traps pretty cringe, bro.
Yeah.
And yeah, like they have some perks banned, some perks left to use, and the meta is very weird on tournaments because on each turn you have different perk rules. DBE to this date had the 2 perks each rule, which was disgustingly broken in my opinion, and survivors could just bully killers on tournaments because throughout the years we learned that the killer isn't the power role, the survivors are the power role.
Weird.
So they could literally dictate the killer how to play the game by running into him, not doing anything, because they can just dead art him and DS him and double deli him, like super mega fun for killer, which obviously it isn't. So Boomer did a group with like captains of teams and asked us about opinion. We told him that 1 perks of each is more balanced. So comp definitely is going into better direction than it was before, with all the balancing that's happening around.
A lot of people are also starting to show up too. We had especially from what I've seen, because I don't participate in DBD League or anything like that, but from Boomer's tournaments, they had a lot of signups. We started having matches play throughout the week just because we couldn't have them all at once. A lot of people want to get into comp, but they either don't know how, they don't know how to set up a team. There's lots of things going on. I think that this game could have a better esports scene. We just haven't really started yet. Do you know what I mean? It's weird to say 5 years into a game's life that we haven't even started to push a mainstream esports part of it yet.
Yeah, that's true.
Even Smash Bros. has. I mean, granted, that's a 20-year-old game. Like Melee is a 20-year-old game, but like, I mean, it didn't take that long for them to change the rules, kind of like we do. Like we do that in comp. We ban things, no items, Fox only, Final Destination. We ban stuff too. We balance the game ourselves because it's not balanced itself. If you just let everything go in, then yeah, it's not balanced. That makes sense. But yeah, no. Q-Top, my man.
Yeah.
What do you think about this? As someone who's new to comp, who started getting into it after it kind of went a little more public. How do you feel about comp getting more recognized and more mainstream people starting to talk about it?
I mean, like I kind of always knew that there was a comp scene, but I was kind of in the same boat like you just said, where I had no clue how to join a team, start a team, compete in anything because it's all community driven. So you kind of have to like find a way in, I guess. That's how I felt about it. Like I talked to Disco about it when I first got into it. I talked to Justin about it. But I was always kind of just like a pub player and I would just stream and blah blah blah. But I wanted to get into comp and I just didn't really know where to go. And then Disco kind of explained it to me and helped me out with that. But I definitely feel like it needs to be like more public because I mean at the end of the day, some people are like it, some people don't. But for the people that do like it and don't know how to get into it at all, that's kind of where I was. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I think making it more public would be better. And doesn't DVD host like some weird tournaments that?
That we'll get into that. That's a subtopic of this topic, but yeah, we will get into that. There have been two official tournaments in Dead by Daylight's history, and they were both just kind of like laughing stocks, to be honest. Although I found the Japan tournament enjoyable to watch, even though it was still like a kind of a funny little joke.
I mean, like if you take a look at every actual competitive tournament, they're all community driven. Like every single one of them. The biggest one that there was fully created by like Hexy and everything like that. So like at some point you would think that the devs or anybody would be like, hey, this is actually like cool and like a good route to go. And maybe we give comp players a comp scene since there's a lot of people taking interest, but they still haven't done that yet, which kind of amazes me because I know I don't want to talk about fucking Fortnite, but when I first started that was completely community driven. Like we would all sit in a giant Discord call listening to a bot call down and everybody queues up at the same time to get into the same game and scrim. That was how we used scrim. And then it turned into the devs seeing it and making invite only tournaments and then public tournaments. And now the whole comp scene for Fortnite blew up. And I'm just kind of surprised that nobody had
$1 million tournaments in Fortnite, and, you know.
Yeah, and one of the biggest prize pools ever, and it was all started off of the community. And while we don't have those gigantic prize pools here, we still have a comp scene and there's clear interest for it and people that want to play. And it kind of amazes me that it hasn't been taken into account and behavior try to do something actually competitive and not whatever they do, like whatever the tournaments they have done were like it. I don't know. Those aren't real competitive. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. Zeno, how do you feel about comp coming more into the mainstream, and having to be recognized by the developers and the public?
Well, I think comp should get recognition because when it first started in 2017, I mean, even earlier, there were like fun tourneys, but like when it became a thing, no one gave a fuck about it because everyone said it's a casual game. Don't even bother doing that. If you do that, you're just a loser, whatever the fuck. But now the comp scene certainly grew. Hexy being one of the main reasons for hosting BOTB, which like every comp player should thank him for because every prize pool tourney increased because of that. and I think the devs should do something. Maybe, add map seeds in KOF. Maybe add less RNG, like, I don't know, just customizable settings in KOF, so tournaments will be easier, and maybe even make official tournaments.
Yeah, I totally agree. But yeah, I think BOTB was definitely the most public a community-driven tournament has ever been. And looping back into a point that I wanted to make before, professionalism. Obviously, with bigger money on the line, we all had to be more respectful, I think, than a lot of people took credit for. And that was the thing. We even went so far as to have a team was eliminated for being disrespectful. I won't get too much into that, but it's the comp scene, Agony and Nikoni. The competitive scene sort of was taking itself the most seriously during BOTB, because there was a lot of prestige and money on the line, and a lot of people had to suddenly, be on closer terms and get along, and people were lurking streams looking for to see them play, like they're trying to get into scrims and stuff like that. Let me see them play. I think it was healthy. It was healthy for the for the game, to be honest, and I like the fact that it's becoming more visible now. And I also like how people are having to be more sportsmanlike, because that is definitely something you need in a competitive scene, is respect for your fellow comp players. It's definitely a bad thing to gatekeep and turn people away, and it's definitely a better thing to, when somebody says they're interested in comp, they're coming in new, you don't put them down. You try to set them up. You try to teach them. You try to bring them up. The more people that we have, and the more this scene grows, the better chances we have to be recognized and to stand up. You know what I mean? But Jeff, why don't you talk a little bit about things like, being respectful in esports, and how we've kind of come full circle into a way more public scene than we were in like the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, as someone who played back then, it was still pretty early in the scene. Tournaments didn't happen that often as they did now. They didn't get as much recognition as they did now. Definitely have to thank BOTB for blasting or kickstarting the scene once again, because it was somewhat dying. The prize pool of each tournament was pretty low, and it kind of just gave. It was from word of mouth, like, oh, this person's hosting a tournament, you guys should sign up for it. But then even back then, teams were malicious as to like some teams didn't want other teams to sign up, or people didn't want to know that the tournament was happening, so they have a bigger chance to win it. And the way it has grown so far is healthy, because not only is the prize pool increasing, the participation is increasing, the professionalism is increasing. People are, getting recognized for the hours they put in, or the events that they put together, and there are more content or comp streams now as well. I mean, back then, if you streamed like on Twitch comp, and nobody would watch, but now there are some pretty big content creators that does comp.
Cracked gamers.
Comp regularly.
Yeah. So so we're going to talk about that too, actually. We're going to talk about teaching streams, educational streams for playing in a competitive setting. And I kind of wanted to talk about the 2 official tournaments that we had. A little bit of a history. I'm sure Nightlight knows about them. I'm sure you know about the old tournament that the devs kind of flustered around. They hired an org outside to host it that didn't know anything about Dead by Daylight at all, and they blasted electronic dance music, and they decided the rules would change at the last second, which wasn't very professional of them. So yeah, the DBD has only had 2 official tournaments in its lifetime. Why don't you talk a little bit about it, Nightlight?
If I remember correctly, it was the one that Russian team won, right? After the
Dice.
guy Lux in the finals.
Yeah.
Dice SPD, the best killer in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Russian friend from Russia.
From Russia.
Man basically lag switched in the finals of a 30.
Yeah.
And of course, for the reputation of the organization that was doing the tournament, to not look bad in eyes of developers and viewers, they said that no, it is all good. He didn't lag switch. No way he lag switch. It's all good. We're just gonna give him the money they want. They were a better team. But my man was literally TPing 5 meters forward, 5 meters backward with everything he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
He was downloading 10 Fortnites in the background. I don't know what that was, but this tournament was a shit show.
Mm-hmm.
I think I played in that even with all Team Legacy. I'm not sure.
You don't remember if you played in it or not?
I don't remember really.
It was bad. I don't blame you for forgetting it.
I actually don't remember. All I remember is Dice SPB in finals on lag switch.
Yeah.
It was horrible. Definitely, like, BOTB showed the way that tournaments should be hosted, I guess. Like, their rules.
A lot of love and care was put into that tournament.
Yeah.
You know.
As win.
Yeah.
I just wanted to. That's, yeah.
No, I definitely feel you, man. I think that more love and care was put into a tournament driven by the community than the devs put into the care for. Like, I think they didn't care that much. They just hired an org and set it about their way. And if the Japan tournament is anything to think about, they feel content to push money and attention to something and then go do it. Just do it. Do what you will with it. And if they can do that, but they should put it to the right people. I think. Q-Top, did you ever check out any of those old tournaments?
No.
Did you see the Japan tournament?
No, I heard about it, but I never bothered to watch it because I figured it was just another meme.
All right, it wasn't a way, but it was still pretty enjoyable to watch. Zeno,
Yeah.
do you want to talk about the 2 official tournaments that DBD has ever had, the old one and the new one?
Japan was a shit show. The meta, like, Asian players are bad. I think DBD is one of the few games that Asian players are bad. Their meta is self-care, and they just have, I don't know, they have a different game sense than us, and they aren't as good as EU players or Russian players or NA players.
You heard it here first.
And what's it called? The other community, or like DBD made tournament. I haven't seen it, but I know Dice like wall hacked and like switched or whatever the fuck.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I know.
Yeah. So Jeff, how do you feel about the 2 official tournaments that DBD has had?
Well, what 2 official tournaments have they had?
The Space Esports tournament that happened a few years ago, and the Japan tournament, which happened like less than a month ago.
Okay, the Japan tournament was kind of a joke. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't watch the games individually, but I saw the perk layouts from the finals, and let's just say, unless there's some crack players, I don't expect you to be running plunderers and appraisal in the finals of a tournament.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know how the Space Esports one went actually. So
It was
I can't
bad.
talk anything about that.
It was bad.
Was it
Oh,
almost on
yeah.
the same level as this Japanese
Oh,
thing?
dude, it was so bad. Like, I was there for it. I was there when Marth was robbed, okay? It was really bad. They were blasting dance music and taking long breaks.
Okay.
They were, it was so bad, my dude. But, like, that's the thing.
It looks like the trend with official hosted DBD tournaments is that they want a relaxed environment, one that is not, very familiar with us. Where we're, like, our tournaments are extremely sweaty and skill based, and their tournaments are just more relaxed and for fun, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that how they handle it, or how they have the people who they put on to handle it is,
Yeah.
it was a different time back then, and I think it was also a different tournament a month ago. I don't think the intent was to show skill. The intent was just to have fun.
Yeah.
I mean, looking from these perks, but you don't know.
Actually, oddly enough, that was the one thing I liked about the Japan tournament. Call me crazy, but I actually liked the rule that no one person could run any more than one of the same perk. That was the one thing I liked. Everything else, like,
Well,
it was clear the killers were not very skilled. They were equipping meta perks, like they were equipping, gen perks and stuff like that. But then they were just like camping. And securing kills is fine and all, but they were just like camping, getting a 2K and calling it a day. Like, it's not really what you want to aim for. So it was pretty clear that their criteria, they said only aged players, and I think that was just a bad translation. They had a their minimum requirement was 2,000 hours, and that was it. They didn't really care about your background, how you played, or anything else. They didn't look into it. There was no screening. Like, there was less screening than, say, a tournament like BOTB. But yeah, no, there's definitely a room for a scene. I just don't know. I don't know if the developers care and who to direct that to. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of a mystery.
Yeah. I mean, I think the tournament that went well, that was community driven from an external, what'd you say, company? I don't know. Sponsor would be G Fuel, which was done really well. I think a lot of people enjoyed it. And,
yeah. The G Fuel tournament definitely had some inside help into organizing a DBD tournament.
Oh yeah, no, they came to, current tournament host organizers and basically said, we want the tournament, here you go, here's the sponsor, give us something to to watch. And when you go to people who know what they're doing, that can put on a good tournament, and good casting and just good production, then you can make something out of it, and maybe people won't look at it as a joke compared to the these official DBD sponsored tournaments, the Japanese one and the Space Esports, which from what I'm hearing is complete other failure.
Yeah, a failure for comp, but not for like casual tournaments, which I still think should have their place. I'm not saying how they're playing is wrong. I'm just saying that it's when we hear a tournament, that's not what we think of. And the last thing I kind of wanted to touch on here was the resources for teaching. There's a lot more educational streamers. I know the meme of like educational killer streamer where they tell people to put on four anti-generator perks and go into normal games and just like try their hardest, which is kind of laughed at by like some people. But I mean, they want you to play in such a way that you're getting ready to take on tougher opponents. Nightlight, how do you feel about coaching and education and trying to get people to play competitively?
Well, so far from what I'm seeing on Twitch, I can tell that there's only one person that actually has a good educational streams, and it is Dowsy. I have to admit, Dowsy has a really good streams and he explains everything really good. I remember Dowsy even played tourney himself, so he has also some experience in it. But other educational streamers, like a guy that the name starts on F, I won't tell who,
Yeah.
never played tourney, never know, like doesn't know anything about it, doesn't know anything about like actual meta and what is played. Also, people are doing like some tier lists where Freddy is S tier. Like I don't understand it. I don't understand it. They try to teach people how to play the game. That is a joke to me.
Yeah.
There's not many good educational streamers, but there are some.
There are some.
It's really good. I think like bringing people like into that more competitive mindset is really good, because I would like to see more stronger teams in the game.
Also, if you're gonna type that in chat, just think about it and don't talk about content creators here, please. Thank you. He didn't say the name for a reason. Sorry, not late. Continue.
I don't know. I pretty much stop here, I would say.
Yeah. Q-Top, as someone new, how do you feel about educational content for getting into comp?
I mean, I definitely think it's good for the game. It expands content to not just the normal pub content, and for some people that are interested in comp, it'd be really good for them, because I mean, everybody has to learn somewhere, you know. Like, I learned a majority of my stuff from people in this call.
Yeah.
I think there's some people that, like Nightlight said, do it kind of wrong, and I think there's some that do it right.
Yeah.
But you just got to kind of find whoever does it right, if that makes sense. I don't know. Some people teach the wrong things that, like, if they ever, like, if you were going to go watch some of those streamers and go to comp, it would not translate at all.
It's true. There's usually a lot more depth than what they offer. Sometimes they'll point you in the right direction, but they won't give you the minutia that you need in order to really succeed in comp.
Scrape the surface and don't really give you like how in depth comp actually goes. Because like I used to play killer for comp. I don't anymore, but when I did, it's stressful as hell. There's a lot more than you think that you have to worry about.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like all three of these guys play it at a very high level, and it's extremely difficult. So watching people that know what they talk about is definitely a good idea if you're in any way interested in comp at all, because they'll actually give you like the right direction of where to go.
Yeah. Something I will say is that for however much educational comp killer stuff has been cropping up, there's kind of a huge niche that's being left out, and that's educational competitive survivor. It is largely untouched, and there's a lot of things about working as a team, you know, good comms and positioning and lots of stuff it's kind of an untapped reservoir right now. And I'm interested to see if anybody starts to tackle it, because I would welcome it. I think there's a lot of people that want to start playing like their favorite teams, you know, like Oracle or Agony or Miracle 4K or something like that, and they just don't know where to start or what to do.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the majority of content right now is killer. I mean, you see people like playing scrims on Survivor here and there, but a lot of it is killer.
Yep. And that's just kind of the trend that I know that you notice, and I notice it. Most of us would. Zeno, you say that your stream is educational? I saw that.
If calling people dogs means educational, then yes.
I mean, I saw you on Twitter. I saw you on Twitter saying that you try to teach comms.
Yes, I'm trying to teach people, but I'm not focusing on it. That's not like the main thing. Every time someone has a question or like needs help with something, I'm helping them. But it's not like I'm focusing everything on being educational. I sometimes, when I scream killer, I say like my entire like what's going inside my head and shit. Like, I don't know how to say it, but
yeah, that's fine.
I'm I'm trying, but I'm not good.
It's not the focus of your stream, but you're definitely willing to help if when people ask. Is that what I'm
Yeah.
getting? Which is good.
Yeah.
I think that's good. Like I said, there's definitely a market for people learning how people play Survivor in comp. It's kind of like an unspoken thing where people just assume that you either have the game sense or you don't. And there's definitely room to improve people's Survivor game. There's a lot of bad survivors in this game. It's kind of what this game is built on, but it shouldn't be, I don't think. Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of educational comp content, you don't see that, especially on YouTube, you don't see that a lot. I mean, I don't think it's something that has been a focus mainly from the comp players, because everybody is just sort of in a way, wanting to improve on their own, a little bit selfish. But I think there has been a bit of a rise in a bit of like educational comp content. I mean, we have two people right here, Zeno and I. I mean, our main content is comp. We mainly stream scrims or team practice and tournaments. And we might not necessarily focus on trying to teach people how to get better, but I mean, it is like, watching players themselves who are established in the community on good teams and know, like, when they try to share their information, or at least, watching them play itself is enough to like help people improve on this is how I should be playing this, or this is how I should be thinking. And I mean, hopefully we get to see more comp players stream their games, and I think it'd be a good thing to grow the community, right? I mean, that's how this community grows, is through content creation. I mean, the tournaments that are being hosted on channels, individual players streaming from the community. I think it's a good way to grow.
Absolutely. I think that there is definitely a room for this scene, and it's just barely getting tapped into, and there could be so much more of it. And BOTB definitely helped to push the scene up for a lot. Talking again about Smash Bros. Melee, that scene was dying, and there was actually a tournament that kind of brought it back up. And ever since, that one tournament pretty much pushed Smash into the strongest it's ever been. That was like during the heyday when all those big names were starting to come up. You had the Five Gods with like their good Fox and their Jigglypuff, Hungrybox, all that kind of stuff. And they started playing at the Evolution tournament, streaming to 20,000 people, something that nobody had ever heard of before. We could get there. We could absolutely get there.
Yeah, I mean, take a look at CS, right? Even then, from CS, I mean, you have pros streaming. They're just like scrims or pugs, and a lot of people watch, and they can learn a lot just from watching. And even though the content creator's main goal might not to educate people, just simply playing the game and showing how they play and how they move is enough. And I think that can apply similarly to Dead by Daylight. I think EMA as well is actually releasing a bunch of VODs on their YouTube channel, which is, again, ties into the whole comp content creation. I probably have to start doing that as well. I mean, I would never have thought that people will want to watch tournament VODs, but I mean they do, for the people who really do want to.
VOD review is definitely a way to improve. I would highly recommend it. Look at your own VODs. If you I go back and I look at how I played and I go, this was shit. Like you have to take your pride, throw it out the window, and look at your own mistakes. It's the only way you're going to get better. You have to break your habits. You have to play better. That's, at the end of the day, that's how it is.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, content is content, right? I mean, if you put something out, chances are there are people that are wanting to watch it, especially if they, they support you. So
exactly. And I think people have gotten a lot better about being supportive. I know that people talk a lot of shit. You know, we call each other trogs and dogs and bots and stuff like that. But it comes from a place of love. It's just banter. Sometimes it can get a little bit much, but like if you genuinely want to put a team together, to scrim, to get better, there are people here for you who will put you up, because we want this scene to grow. We don't want it to die. Why the hell would we want it to die? There's no point to that. So definitely, for sure. So what I'm going to end on one more topic, and then I'm going to end. We're going to go around. I want you to say the thing that you want the most from the devs. What do you want the most for the devs as it concerns competitive? Just one thing. Don't list multiple things. Say the thing that you want the most. Nightlight.
Map seeds.
You want map seeds. I agree, definitely. Q-Top.
Probably just recognition for the comp scene. Start promoting it a little bit more. Start getting more involved with it.
You want recognition and support from behavior. I agree with that as well.
Acknowledge that it's there. Listen to comp players. Maybe throw a little tournament in there or something. You know, like I don't know.
Give it to the people who can make a good tournament, like the Hexy tournament.
like hit up Boomer_live, bro. Like do something.
Hit up Boomer. Just don't ask him his opinion about comic book characters. By the way, Superman would totally kill the shit out of Batman. No cap.
Boomer also drinks Coke Zero.
Sheesh! Just murdered Boomer live on Twitch. You heard it here. It's okay. He's on some weird platform. He doesn't need to hear it. Don't clip it. Zeno, what do you want the most if you could get it?
Tournaments.
You want tournaments. You want the same. You want the same
money.
thing. Yeah. I mean, the money's always nice, but like, why shouldn't people? What makes people compete harder than prizes? You know.
No, by tournaments, I don't mean like big money hosted by them. I mean, special platform for tournaments. I don't know how to say it. I want them to dedicate time into tournaments, and by that I just mean like
Get
them
more involved.
making KYF better, making seeds.
Yeah. Okay. So you would say you want map seeds.
Everything that could help a tournament, yes.
Yeah, I agree with that. But like one thing to focus on more than anything else, what would be the one thing you would ask for?
Okay, seeds.
Seeds. You map seeds. All right. It's a big thing. KYF is kind of our only way to play tournaments right now.
I mean, do you guys want to explain what map seeds are? I don't think some people know.
I can field that if you'd like. So the way that Dead by Daylight maps work and all the objects on the map, they're procedurally generated. They pick from a pool of things that they could be, and they tend to spawn it. There's a bit of a randomness to the tiles that exist on the map, because the map itself is a grid of squares for the most part. So some maps can spawn with 6 pallets, which would suck, and other maps can spawn with 14 pallets, which could also suck. But if we had map seeds where we could control the procedural spawning, we would be able to change how many pallets would spawn, choose if windows are closed or open, because some windows suck dick. And we could change the resources so that they're more fair, and that would be so good for this game. And that's why both of the EU guys want map seeds so badly. Jeff, what do you want more than anything?
I probably just want them to support the scene. I mean, give it some sort of recognition, because it is a lot of hard work that tournament hosts put in or people in general put in to this entire thing. The players, the tournament hosters, the people watching as well.
Yeah.
And it's just, we like I said, we're community driven, and to have some sort of support from the actual, whether it be the devs themselves or some other tournament organizers, outside factors, like for example G Fuel, it'd be nice to have some sort of support and recognition
Mhm.
to keep the community going, because I mean the community right now is the biggest and best it has ever been, in my opinion.
Ride the
In terms
wave.
of not only like balance, also frequency of tournaments, prize
Mhm.
pool. It's sitting at a good spot right now, and it could go higher depending on
Yeah.
what the opportunity arises in the future.
The potential
And
for
where
growth is
we
definitely there.
typically stare at as well.
Mhm. So I will say that the EU side of it wants the more technical thing. They want the map seeds, and the NA side wants the recognition. I want both of those things, like more than you could ever know. I kind of lean in the map seeds thing, but yeah, like the other thing would definitely be great. Imagine if we had tournaments like CS tournaments, like offline tournaments played on offline connections, no like best ping available. People fought for like prize money and trophies. Wrap it up, Jimmy. All right, yeah. Hold on. No Zongao net, yeah. And like, you know, they could have custom team jerseys and shit like that. Like there's so much room for the devs to make this game even bigger and greater than it is, and it wouldn't take that much. They're so lazy, and I wish they weren't, because they could, like, it would not take that much effort to just make this game so much goddamn better. That's all I want. I just want them to put more effort in. If I had to ask anything from the devs, from behavior, I want them to put more effort into making this game better.
Yeah, I mean, not even comp wise, just in general.
Just
think
in
the
general.
devs need to start listening to the people. Our communication with the devs have been increasing a tad bit, but I think in the previous the devs kind of just did whatever they want and never listened to the player base.
Sometimes it's
Only
good
for some specific occasions.
Yeah.
It's not really healthy. You want communication.
No,
is
I
number
agree.
one.
Yeah, I agree. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. I think they need to be careful when they listen for certain things. Like balance. Somewhere on Twitter, somebody put up this thing where they just wanted all the killers nerfed. I think that's kind of silly. Probably shouldn't listen to that person, but you know, there's lots of things to think about. That's going to be it for the roundtable, though. I had a great time talking to you guys, and I really think that we showed that the comp scene has things that they want, that we think, we feel. We're not just spamming memes about, you know, bald cabbages and nodding cats and calling each other, you know, gamer words or whatever. There is a real living, breathing community here that just wants to be heard. That being said, video will be going up on my YouTube in a couple of days. I want to thank you guys for coming out. Share it around when it crops up, and you guys have a good one. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thank you for
Appreciate
having us. See ya.
You guys are awesome. See you around.